Story Listening AT2 ECE3004. Today, as I pen down about who I am, it takes me to my childhood memories. My experiences as I grew up shaped me as a teacher I have become today. I grew up as a timid and anxious child who was affected by a traumatic incident at the age of 8. I had no language and courage to speak about it to anyone. I had fear from people and silently carried it for many years. Although my parents never knew, but my father played a significant role in building my resilience and confidence. He reminded me that I could achieve anything with determination. I knew that he believed in me and gave me the strength to stay positive in every step. Growing up, I always observed his ways of keeping relations with kindness and connection. He valued community and maintained relations by writing letters, teaching me the importance of staying connected and the intentionality to hold them. From my mother, I learned about sustainability and gratitude. Our modest upbringing instilled some good values of appreciation about things that we already have. These early experiences have an impact on me as a teacher as I build relationships with the children, the families, and my colleagues who I meet every day. My personal trauma and marginalization as an expatriate in this country has slowly evolved my understanding about the cultural histories of the Australians, thereby deepening my empathy towards them. When I listened to Dr. Miriam Rose in the video, I practiced listening deeply and had respect for the person she had been today. I stopped thinking about myself and my trauma and felt sorry for the children of the stolen generation, thinking what they might have gone through and never having the opportunity to heal would have passed all the trauma to the future generations. As I moved between different levels of my listening journey, I realized that during my early years as a teacher, I was mostly a factual and an inner chatter. As I kept practicing deep listening on the TV, I was able to relate Dr. Miriam's story not only through an emotional lens, but as an inspiration to so many. Through deep listening practices, I became more empathetic listener and understood about her trauma, being away from family and leading a life which had no choice as a child. During the early years of my profession, I would admit celebrating Australia Day, thinking it to be a tradition that everyone follows, going for a picnic or a barbecue and enjoying the day off. Slowly, as I realized the background and the history of the cultures and who the original Australians are, I started feeling sorry. Somewhere I felt guilty of not knowing the reality and the past. My thinking and approach changed over time, and in my practice with the children too. I now advocate for looking after the land on which we have been privileged to stay, work, and study. I try to be more grateful for what I have and use a sustainable approach in my teachings. The most impactful moment in the video of Miriam Rose was when she talked about Dediri as slowing down and listening to the sounds around you. I could completely relate this to meditation, where we clear our minds of all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and traumas to heal our souls. In my daily practice as a teacher, I often huddle the children up in a circle and sit together, relaxing in the moment to close our eyes and listen to the different sounds around us. Slowing down with the chores and being in the moment helps me to feel calmer and to reflect on my actions as a teacher. I can relate to Dr. Miriam Rose's story and understand how being the person to pass on good values to the next generations needs real passion to be in the moment. The values of looking after the environment, caring for the people, kindness, and being grateful of what you have takes you a long way. Being an expatriate in this country, I truly understand how language barrier can affect your communication as well as your social skills. Helping grandparents and some parents to communicate and understand their barrier and support them in a way that is most understood makes me feel that they connect with me. Seeing a familiar face from their country helps them to open up about their situation in life and how they are struggling to find their feet here. I use the pedagogy of listening with openness and sensitivity. I hear them and truly understand their struggles as a new migrant in Australia, trying to fit into the culture and making those social connections through familiarity. When I was new to the industry, I can still relate being a passive listener. As I matured and kept my heart open to acceptance, I became more empathetic. I understood that children have varying abilities and that offering them time helps a lot in understanding their needs better. For the children I teach, I use a lot of positive reassurance to build their trust and confidence. Through my lived experience and my ability to foster internal listening, I have been able to listen to others and understand their life perspectives or choices without any prejudice. I was moved by Ray Timbury's words in his video where he talks about folklores shared through generations. He talked about stories having impact in our lives and how can people learn from other mistakes. What they could change or make things better for the future generations through healing and kindness. As a teacher in early childhood, it's very easy to pass a comment or judge a family depending upon how they rear their children. But it takes extra time and an intentionality to make your way to understand their perspective and their part of the story. I have been practicing building my connections not only as a teacher to the children and the families, but with my co educators who I have been mentoring from the past 1 year. I've built a respectful relationship without any shame, guilt, or fear to empower them to speak what they feel and what emotions they carry in their heart. My evolvement as a generative listener has guided me to be more accepting of who they are individually as we work together for the care, love, and safety of the young children. Thank you.